good day. And it's a lovely day that we're taping it. The sun's all out. And I don't know what it'll be like when you see this, but it's nice today. We have with us Gary Baker. And Gary Baker is a member of the Select Board.
Aspire to it.
Aspire. And tell me about yourself, a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was born in Middlebury. I've lived here not all my life, but aspire to that. And grew up I'm living in the house I grew up in. My parents bought it in 1949, and I started in April. I started school that year, first grade, at what is now Twilight Hall, which used to be the elementary school.
Oh, that's right, yes.
And went from there to...
How many grades did they have?
8. They had 8 grades.
In that building?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, of course, some of the kids went to the parochial school, but we all came together in the new high school that year. And the class of '61 is when I graduated from high school. We were the first class to spend 4 years in the new high school and graduate. And then I had various jobs in the summer. I guess the first real one was I was the front man down at Beckwith Motors, which is now Denneker's and was Shea. I washed cars and pumped gas and chased parts for 2 summers. And then I went to college in Boston for 2 years at Boston University, and then transferred up to UVM and went 3 semesters there. And I was sick of school, and I went out and got a job. And I went in the insurance business at age 23. Also enlisted in the Vermont Air National Guard because the draft was still, they would have been after me. It was before the lottery, just a few years before. And I spent 6 years in the Vermont Air National Guard, from 65 to 71. During that time I was in the insurance business. And the insurance business isn't for everyone, but it suited me well. And I wanted to stay in Vermont, particularly in Middlebury, and I could do it with that occupation. And it's continued since. I was a life and medical insurance agent for 13 years, and then started a property casualty agency writing auto and homeowners and such. And then when that was sold, I sold my interest in it and worked for them for 6 years, and then they have since sold part to Holden and part to Kinney Pike and Rutland. And I decided to do my own thing again. So I'm still working. I'm still in the insurance business. I work 2 or 3 days a week, so therefore I have time to do the things I like to do, plus do some work for the town, which I enjoy a great deal.
What kind of insurance
did I sell?
Yeah.
Oh, when I was in the property casualty agency, I worked with contractors, business insurance, and homeowners and auto, and that sort of thing. So I have a broad background in insurance, and it's been beneficial to me formerly as a select board member and on the committees, and would still be. I finally, I think, got everyone to understand why contractors should be bonded and why they didn't like to be. The bonding process for contractors is onerous. Their bonding company is a partner with a contractor, so they want to know all about their financials and their work history and their employees and all that sort of thing. And the contractors object to that. They don't object to the bond cost because they can pass it on as part of the bid. That's one of the things that I gleaned from that were helpful with the select board. There are many others. I'm a 7th generation Vermonter on both sides of my family.
7th generation.
Yeah, and I have an ancestor that fought at Hubbardton, and he was one half of a mixed race. He was a black man.
Oh,
And he's on a monument, and his birth certificate's over in Temple, New Hampshire, and he's on a monument over there as having fought at Hubbardton. He died a British prisoner after being starved by them. And
by whom?
by the British.
British.
Yeah, he was a prisoner. He was captured at Hubbardton,
Uh-huh.
and was a prisoner of war. And probably a lot of the prisoners were starved. I don't know if the British had much to eat either. You know, after Saratoga, which this was part of that whole campaign.
Yeah.
So, my parents both grew up on farms, one in Forestdale and one in Leicester. My mother was from Leicester. And she was a school teacher, and my father was a horse trainer. He worked for the federal government out at the Morgan Horse Farm before they divested themselves of it. My mother was a teacher. She graduated from Castleton Normal School at age 19 and started teaching in a one-room schoolhouse in the Arnold district in Brandon. And she was a small person. You knew my mother, I'm sure.
Right.
And I'm sure that she had to stare down a lot of those big boys by looking up to them. But she grew up with brothers, so she could stare down the boys.
Well, I was taught in a one-room schoolhouse my first year of marriage, right out of college in Michigan, kindergarten through 8th grade.
Yeah.
So I know what you're.
Yeah, you know what she went through.
Went through.
Yeah. She eventually got a bachelor's degree. A lot of the ladies that went to normal school went to Castleton for Saturday classes for years in summer school, and eventually got bachelor's degrees, bachelor of science degrees. She graduated in 1957. I went to her graduation. My parents were secretly married in 1935, I think it was 35, in Hampton, New York, because teachers could not be married then in Vermont. And they knew that was going to change in probably the next session of the legislature, and it did. So that's some of my...
She was okay.
Yeah,
to tell she was married.
Right, and I'm sure that's why they were married in New York. They didn't want a birth or a marriage certificate on Vermont paper here.
Yeah.
Here still.
That was a terrible thing to have a bill like that.
Yeah, well, they thought teachers should be focused on the kids, and they also they were housed with parents of the kids. They would move from house to house. I mean, they might be housed for 3 months at one parent, and then another boarding room. You know, tough going.
Yeah.
And my father, when the farm was divested, left the farm and started his own business of training horses, and did that. They were both very good at their work. They were, they were both competent.
And they liked their work.
Yeah, and they liked their work. Yes. Probably that's where I got some of my admiration of competency, was from them. I've been a member of the Middlebury Lions Club for over 40 years. The Lions do a lot of good in Middlebury. They help raise money for elderly services.
Yes.
We recently gave them some more money for their upgrade, their 10-year upgrade, and also raised money for the Town Hall Theater and, of course, Porter Hospital. Lots of money for them. And a lot of people don't understand how that works with foundations and everything. The foundations, if they're going to get money from them, like Elderly Services got this Weinberg money. I don't know how much they got, $1 million, and they got some from Amy Tarrant for the upgrade. they always ask, the givers always ask, does the community support it?
Uh-huh.
And I
Yeah.
say, well, yeah, the
Yeah.
Lions gave us $20,000. The Legion gave us $30,000. The Rotary gave us $25,000. Okay, they support you. How big is Middlebury, you know? How
Yeah.
many members? A lot of people don't realize that, I think.
How big?
How that works, that
Yeah.
whole community support and everything. It may seem like, oh, they only gave $25,000. Well, that's a big amount of money for
Yes.
that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, probably going to want to know, let's see, what else have I done? Oh, I was on a reparative justice board for 3 or 4 years back, 5 or 6 years ago.
And what does that do?
Well, we had a lot of kids come in, and some older people too, but rather than go to jail or go on probation or something like that, we have them do things to repair the wrong they've done. It works good. Mm-hmm. Stephanie Foley was a big, she was the assistant state's attorney, and she was big on that, and she sent a lot of people to us.
That means you didn't have a criminal record.
Yeah, the criminal record was written off, and a lot of them were kids. You know, it was DWIs and fish and game violations and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And some of them, you know, we would fine them a little bit, or have them write a paper. Particularly the ones that couldn't write very well. I always liked that. You know, they'd had to work at it. And,
Yeah.
and remembered. I don't want to. And many of them, you know, you'd say, well, we're never going to see this person again. And you wouldn't. But others, you'd say, oh, God, they're going to be back. But most of them eventually got it. So it was good.
Yeah.
Reparative.
Yeah.
And I recently became a member of the Court Diversion Board, which oversees a lot of these little programs, one of which was the reparative justice. And so I accepted I'm on the board of directors of that outfit now. So I've done other things other than for the town.
Well, that's for the town and town people.
Oh, well, yeah, but I
Yeah.
mean other than town government.
Yeah. But it's still for the town.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you must know a lot about the town.
I do know a fair amount about the town, having lived here and been interested, you know, as a voter. But I was a select board member for 4 years before I got defeated, back 3 years ago. And I've been on committees since then, like the infrastructure committee, or used to be public works. That's where the money is spent. And that's why I wanted to be on that. And
It's spent on things like roads.
roads and
But sidewalks.
bridges and sidewalks and sewer systems and water systems, and which we're gonna need an upgrade in the next 5 years of our sewer systems. Been known, of course. And
Yeah.
got a plan for that, and we do need to fix the water system out on Exchange Street, which has no redundancy. There's no loop, so that if you've got to shut it off, there's no way you can feed from another direction. It should have a loop
Oh, yeah.
and redundancy.
There's a lot of things you don't think about that you
Right.
you know about.
Yeah, and so that's going to have to be taken care of in the next few years. It's very important that we have water out there, because all those most of those industries depend on water.
Mm-hmm.
And Middlebury has excellent water and abundant water.
It comes from the mountain.
Right, right. And we had someone in at one of our infrastructure committee meetings said, "Don't worry about the cost. You've got a great cost structure for water." They were one of the users paying the tax.
Yeah.
But we must do that, because if we don't provide those industries with the water they need in a timely way, If it's always down or down 3 or 4 days at a time for repairs, that's not good. They're going to
Yeah.
go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So that's
So
what's.
how do you fix that?
Oh, we'll have to redo it, dig it up, and I mean it's been fixed a lot. The problem is, a lot of the pipe lays on stone, or stone was pushed up against it or over it on the backfill. We have a 30s line that comes from the mountains that we have very little trouble with, and Dan Werner and I were talking about that one day, and I said, oh, I bet a lot of that was backfilled with horses and men in the 30s. He said, yep. They weren't using big machines. They could put big rocks back in place and that sort of thing. And I said, well, they must, he said, no, it's all the pipes are encased in sand. They dig a hole, they fill the bottom with sand so there are no rocks, and then they lay the pipe on the sand and backfill the sand all around it, so you're not going to have that problem.
But that wasn't done in a certain period of time.
In the 60s when they built that
60s.
line. It was done the way it was done.
Yeah.
Everybody did it that way. You know, it had big machinery and it was quick. But we're paying now.
Yeah.
So one of the challenges, of course, is keeping the budget and the taxes down as much as we can, but we've also got to fix those systems.
Yeah.
So that's one of and we have a most excellent staff here, and that's one of the reasons that there was very little increase in the budget this year, because the staff they're great. They know how to do it. They know how to stretch a dollar.
Oh, that's important, stretching the dollar.
Yeah, oh, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a little of my background.
Well, that's certainly an important part of it if you're going to be a select board member.
Yeah.
To know what's going on.
Right.
And but there are other things besides buildings and roads and sewers and that kind of stuff. There's social things that are going on.
Well, I think we could we should do better on mental health. I know that up at the hospital, there's a sheriff up there every day, 24 hours a day, watching 3 patients that are mental patients. It's because we don't have a mental hospital anymore. All the hospitals in Vermont are taking a few mental patients. And that's not the way it should be.
Yeah. And then you have to have somebody to watch them?
Yes, to protect the staff.
Oh.
Yeah, that's why the sheriffs are there, to protect the staff from these mental patients.
Well, if you had a regular home for mental health, then everybody would know where their job is and what their job is.
Right. They have one, of course, now, but it's not large enough. And,
I see.
And the real incorrigible ones are there, but the ones that can stay in the hospitals and be watched by a sheriff are scattered around the state. So that's one of the challenges.
I guess snow's another challenge.
Snow? Oh well, that's part of the public works.
Yeah.
Snow removal, and part of their job. They do a good job at that.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And they're out quick.
Yeah. Yeah, I've sat in more than one DRB meeting, and I usually sit beside Don Keeler.
DBR.
The Development Review Board. I'm a member of the Development Review Board. We do review of projects. I've been in more than one of those, and I usually sit beside Don Keeler. And he'll say, well, the plows are just going out. And you look, and the plows are going by the window to do their duty.
Yeah. Okay, what do you know? What issues the select board taking up there? I mean, they got to continue to do the roads and the sidewalks and
Well, some of it, of course, is they're going to have to okay the particulars on getting money to do these upgrades of the sewer system. Probably going to have to be bonded, and the water system. We're talking fairly large amounts of money, and so they're going to have to do that.
yeah.
But mainly they get, that's what they do, of course, as you know. They do policy, or should be doing policy. There's some people that have agendas that get on the select board that want to micromanage, and that's not what they're there for. And it creates some issues
Oh yeah, yeah. I can understand
with the
that.
staff and with the other board members. And
You're there to get the ideas out and the issues out.
right, that's the select board's job, and then
Yeah.
vote on them and
Yeah.
set the policy. And the management is done by the town manager and department heads.
Yeah, I had to learn that too.
Well, I'll talk with you about that sometime. I think women have a harder time with that than men do because, you know, they're managing their kids, their husbands, their jobs. And Donna Donahue had a good take on that at one of our meetings. He said, you know, and if they don't learn that, they're getting set up for failure. That they're policymakers and not managers.
Well, some men are that way too.
Oh no, that's absolutely correct. Yeah, I knew a couple that were on the select board that were that way years ago.
Yeah. Well,
They were a problem.
Do you have any ideas about how to increase more local business coming in?
Well, we had an experiment that didn't work, but I don't have any ideas about it. I do think well, I shouldn't say that. I do think I would agree with, I know I watched Fahad, we need a store like Ames, an anchor store.
Yes. Yes.
And
I've heard that before.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's not an original idea
Yeah.
with me, for
Yeah.
sure. But I do hear that, you know, since Denneker came to town, they're a very active auto dealership. There's a lot more people coming to town because they come down to look at cars. And while they're there, they say, well, let's go down to Foster Motors, let's go down to G-Stone, let's stop and have lunch in Middlebury.
Yeah. And let's go by that store we need that new book for, or some
Yeah.
paper or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, a store like Ames, and I don't know, I know that quietly there have been some of the chain stores approached, like Target, and I don't know, somebody said something about People's, but they have these space requirements that they require to go into a town, and I think we could do it now because 50,000 is their minimum, 50,000 square feet. And the other thing, we have people that don't want us, you know, somebody, a certain name on the door. That doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
I don't care whose name's on the door. I want, I want a store like Ames
Yeah.
and an anchor store.
Yes.
And boy, they were great. And they made money here too, but they apparently weren't making money everywhere. And you can't keep a store open for one community.
Yeah.
So that's, I don't have any other ideas, but I think we should still keep experimenting. I think that was a good exercise. It cost the town some money and the businesses some money and the college some money, but it was money well spent.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it failed or didn't produce a result that we were looking for.
What was this?
It was the economic initiative,
Uh-huh.
that was funded for 5 years that Jamie Gaucher ran when he was here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it did some good.
Oh, I'm sure
Yeah.
it did some good, and who knows, maybe some of those businesses that he talked to will eventually come.
Yeah.
And I know he helped to expand some.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Talk about the railroad bridges. So we're gonna.
Okay.
We haven't got much. We have only got
The railroad
one
bridges, I
sentence.
hope, are put to bed.
Yes.
If we'd have started when we should have, they'd have been done by now. And I think it's a done deal.
Yeah.
So there's not much sense in
Yeah.
discussing it
Yeah.
more.
All right. Well, thank you for coming. And,
You're welcome.
Enjoyed your talk and all your
Good.
interests.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Say bye-bye.